Good day. How are you? Amazing. Today we're going to talk about something that I think we don't really invest in, but it naturally happens, and that's connections. It's so interesting to me that I always meet people everywhere, wherever I go, and with each interaction, I really hold value there. Sometimes I do things that, to me, it's okay. But I know some people think, girl, what are you doing? But let's say I meet you. I will look you up on LinkedIn and send you a connection. If I feel there was an energy there that we synthesized, I'm definitely going to do it. Now, there's no problem doing that because we already made the connection. But I've learned so much. I've been taking these different webinars, just learning about being mindful and other things of that nature. And recently I took one that was so eye-opening that I was like, I never even thought about it. And on today's talk, this is what we're going to share. The other thing is I've made this fantastic connection with one of my alumni. And if she's listening, she knows who she is. Well, she's fantastic. And one of those things that really made me really appreciate LinkedIn is these connections. So I feel if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, go right ahead, or any other platform that I'm on. When you make these connections, sometimes directly the connection you have is not the source or resource that you need, but they can be the opening invitation, hello, or branch you need to get where you need to go. So we're going to talk about that. Hold on a minute. Let's hook up these sponsors and we'll get right back to you. Welcome back. Well, connections. So, any connection you make outside of the real world, and I mean in the virtual element or the virtual world, it really speaks to not just networking and not just the idea of a connection, but an innovation to identify yourself in another level. Okay, so we all remember the good old-fashioned American Online time, which then led to MySpace, right? So MySpace was kind of like the little pebble rolling down the hill. And then there was other series. Then we have Facebook and WhatsApp and Skype and Twitch and Instagram and Tumblr and Reddit. And there's just so many. And if I didn't mention one, forgive me, but there's so many right now, right? And we all know LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn as the end-all be-all professional one, right? So when you're looking at all these connections in social media, there's some things that kind of click together and some things that kind of separate, right? Who is the age group on this, or who is this geared towards, or what is the pitch here, who is it selling to or marketing to? So let's go back a little bit. So a while ago, I was looking for a job, and I was a young Fanny, and I wanted business cards, because business cards was really at the time the level of being a professional. So most offices outside of New York, like for example New Jersey, to this day a business card is kind of like a professional requirement. And in New York too, but New York kind of did away with the need for it, whereas New Jersey is part of the business, so you need to have a card that people can walk away with. So I remember at a time I had a job and I had business cards, but I remember I was always doing other work. I've always done other work, and so I created personalized business cards that dealt with my specific work that I was doing. So with that said, I would then look at other things that was going on, and I would always try to make sure that when I would meet someone and engage with someone on a professional level, I would give them my card. Let me give you my card, let's stay in contact. There's no need to fumble for a pencil or pen. Here it is, right? Then we have our cell phones, where kind of like, let me just put this in my phone real quick. Even though that did change, like the level in how we were actually, right, we're in fourth revolution of technology, right? And technology and innovation. Soon to be in the fifth revolution, which is the human factor. So in this level, we are getting away from writing it down, getting away from the business cards, getting away from that connection and putting it in our phones, right? That's where we're leading to social media. So now it's like, well, who are you? I'll follow you. I'll like you. I'll subscribe. That's the new idea. But at the end all be all, when you look at these connections, it's a business card. It's that type of connection. It's a professional reference. So now when you look at your Facebook, let's say you have a Facebook account. The other day, my kids told me, well, Mom, the Facebook is for the parents, which I thought was interesting. And then I looked at Facebook and I saw certain generations there. And for the family members that were the younger family members, they were on Instagram and Snapchat. So I was like, okay, all right. So even though I have those two, the audience there is a specific age group that identifies that that is their platform. I was like, wow, that's so interesting. Now, for the younger folk, like my kids and cousins and things like that, I was like, do you have a LinkedIn profile? And they're like, no, what's that? Or why do I need that? So the identity of understanding the need for a professional reference or a professional first impression is not there. And maybe it's good, because maybe if, I always say when you turn 26 years old, your cerebral develops and you have more of a social awareness. So maybe if you're a kid, you may not want LinkedIn because maybe you'll do an impulse post or post a picture that maybe you shouldn't. So maybe that's a good thing. But I do feel the moment that you decide, I'm an adult and I'm going to professionalize myself and I want to be established in a specific way, I think that your LinkedIn post is the true identity for your professional self. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't market to Facebook and Instagram and all these other things, but I took this webinar and I always use LinkedIn since I remember the first time LinkedIn ever came out. And I do utilize LinkedIn as my professional engagement, which means that if I am on LinkedIn, my goal is to network, influence professionally, learn, and understand how the markets continuously change. And not just the economical market, but the human resource market and all other markets. I like to understand, and I like to be, as a human, diversified in my knowledge. So I think it's very important that when you're on these platforms, you understand what you're doing there. What is the business being conducted there, right? So in the webinar, I learned something that this is not trademark information. This is common knowledge. And when they mentioned it, I was like, well, duh, I had an aha moment. So basically, right, if you have a connection on LinkedIn and they're your first connection, there's somebody you know. That's the idea. When they're your second connection, there's somebody that you know from your first connection. And your third connection is usually a stranger. That's the idea. So with that said, when I see people are my third connections, sometimes if I have, sometimes they have those in credits or in mail credits. Sometimes if I click on their profile, I'll connect. And I know I'm a stranger because I'm maybe a third level. So it's kind of chancy. And they may be thinking, what is this person doing? Who is this person? I don't know this person. And they may even be in a situation where we have no connections. But I always believe in the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Just kidding. 6 degrees of separation. That some way, somehow, somewhere down the line, there's a connection all over the world. And a lot of my connections are international. I have a lot of connections all over the world, not just because I'm multicultural, but I have so many connections in India, in the Philippines, in China, in Japan, in Hong Kong, in Russia, in Africa, that I like to maintain all my connections because in some way, somehow, we all help each other, right? So I may be connected to someone that can offer a service or offer some type of mutual benefit that they need, and maybe I'm not the actual one they need. So why not make the connection? I always feel, if you have a need and you have a need that needs to be filled and you two can benefit each other, I don't mind being the bridge. when it comes to social settings, I know that I drive my friends crazy, and if they're listening, they know this to be true. Some of my friends, let's say I call them different worlds, so they're from different worlds, and A doesn't know B, and B doesn't know C, and C doesn't know D. Well, let's say I throw a party, and I invite all my worlds, and then they all collide. So sometimes they collide, and they exchange, and then they become friends. And the great part about that is, one, I don't have to tell the story multiple times. They hear the story, they know the story, it's one story. But sometimes they don't like that. So you can't look at your other social platforms like that LinkedIn idea. When I go on LinkedIn, I always feel that it's a great opportunity not just to provide information, but to attain information. And this is a big thing about connections. Sometimes when you meet people or you speak to people, you already know your message. You know your foundational piece, you know the points that you want to hit in the conversation, but sometimes you need to listen to that person and understand what their need is and what they're trying to identify, because they're just like you. They know what they want to say, and they want to make sure they get their point across. But when you're trying to make a connection, the idea of the connection is a mutual collaboration of both of your insights, both of your opinions, where you mutually come together. So I think that in LinkedIn you do that. And there's so much information, webinars, details. And now let's say you have a job or a career and you're happy-go-lucky. It's still a great resource because, listen, I love to network, and I network all over the world, as I just mentioned. And sometimes my network will open up that there's a food truck rally or a food truck festival somewhere in town, and it's not posted anywhere. But somehow through my LinkedIn connection, I found out. Now, that may sound like Facebook information, or a picture may sound like Instagram postings. But in all honesty, that connection brought me the information. So that's just a rough example, but I really want you to listen to that example and understand that sometimes through these connections there are benefits, and the food truck festival or rally, whatever, is the example of a benefit, but it could be any benefit. It could be financial, it could be medical, it could be any type of benefit that you may need and want to subscribe to, want to know about, right? So recently, an alumni reached out to me, and it was the most incredible timing. Sometimes the timing is a godsend. It's just in the cards. And the timing was so on point that we developed another level of our connection. And one day I'm going to have this person, I know that she's willing and able to come and speak about her platform and what she's talking about, because she just does amazing things. And that will be on Twitch TV, not here in the podcast. But there was so much wealth of knowledge that I was able to attain from just listening to her, and then her allowing me to ask questions. Now, I already know what I want to tell her, but she had so much to offer. I had to be engaged. So these are things that I want you to think about when you think about your connections. Think about innovation and self-innovation. That is the new term for 2020 with what's going on in this world. It's self-innovation. All right, hold that thought. We'll get right back to you. We're going to take a quick break. Welcome back. So, connections are just so important. And on the last note, I was mentioning innovation. So there is this movement that I like to speak about, and you'll hear me always speaking about innovation or self-innovation. And I'm going to go ahead and hashtag that, FYI, I own it. But the important thing about self-innovation is understanding the dynamic within inside of you. So I gave you the examples of how different social media is used, like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn. But here's the real kind of the fruit of it, okay? The real fruit is understanding that it's not just posting. So I'm going to give you guys a great example. I love to connect my Instagram to my Facebook. And for my Instagram, I used to keep it tighter knit. And my Facebook is kind of like ends all be all, friends, family, the whole kit and caboodle. Everything's there. And when I post on Instagram, I would let it travel to Facebook and be reposted there. 9 out of 10, it was like a family picture, right? Or a family thing or something that was personal. Recently, I opened up my Instagram and made it public. So you no longer have to kind of ask, can you join? You could just like or not like, right? I decided to do that because I wanted to spread my horizons and kind of see what's going to happen with my blog and my podcast. With that, I opened up a new realm, and then I kind of understood, okay, wait a second, I need to utilize Instagram differently, and I need to keep Facebook differently. So for my Facebook, I created a page, and the page is Fantastic Life page that really kind of gets updated every Friday, and it kind of just gives you the overall nutshell of what happened during the week with the podcast, the blog, and such and such. But I still kept my actual Facebook account separate because I really want the connection with my friends and my family there. I have photo albums, and I really kept that locked down secure, so that's not public. My Instagram, I use that as my advertising and marketing platform. So anything that I need you to know, anything that I want anyone to see in a quick instant, has to kind of be organized by a meme. So you kind of think, well, how do you organize by a meme? Well, when you look at Instagram, you're not like when you go to Facebook, you're looking for the story. When you go to LinkedIn, you're looking for the fact or the reference or the site. But when you go to Instagram, the giant part about Instagram, it's usually a still, quick image with the message 1, 2, 3. So now if you take it to TikTok, right? On TikTok, it's so entertaining. And whoever is on TikTok, you can speak to this. You can look on TikTok and do a swipe and 30 minutes pass. You lost all that time because it's so interesting. And there's so many different levels and you swipe. And then TikTok, if you didn't know, is an AI. So TikTok is learning what you like. So then after a while of using TikTok, it will only show you things similar to things that you like. Certain type of genres, certain type of comedy, certain type of things. Maybe you want to look at only facts or only about animals or puppies. It will only show you that because it's learned this is what you want to see. And then you fall into this vertex of being lost in time. Oh, wow, it's already 2:00 in the morning, right? That feeling. We've all been there on TikTok. Instagram is not the same thing. Instagram is used during moments of open time. So, and I know I'm going to be a little harsh, but I'm going to give you the example. There has been a study, so forgive me, I'm going to say it, that men who use the bathroom fall into the window of the TikTok search. So that 10 to 45 minutes, usually during the day, between the hours of 10 to 7, is where they see the pickup on this demographic. Who's swiping through, right? And then, just like TikTok, Instagram also has an AI, or some people call it a cookies, that's picking up information and showing you things that you like to see that ends up being on your home screen. So the reason why I learned this is because when I made my Instagram public, I made it public branded. So it's Fantastic Life now. That's my Instagram, and it's at FHBMGC if you didn't know. And what I do is I have analytics set up and insights. So I look to see who is clicking and who is doing what. So that way I can engage with that audience, because I really am trying to work with my connections to build my blog and build my platforms of my podcast and utilize Twitch TV, utilize these social medias to make better brands and organize what I'm trying to work on. So understanding these products. So if you're looking to get an Instagram audience, then you need that type of information. You need that type of glance. Now, not to say on Instagram there is videos, right? So if you think about the meme ideology, and you know what, y'all know I like to say meme, but the meme ideology, you're looking to say, if someone sees this in that moment, what are they picturing? So when there's a still that you're swiping through, what is the still saying? Is it an organized still? Or is it just you're a kid and you're posting, right? So you have to understand those dynamics. Now, I don't Snapchat anymore. I did that. You'll see that I have all these apps. Why? Because in the beginning, I had these because I wanted to be where my children were. And that's how I came onto Twitch. So on Twitch TV, a lot of people stream on Twitch, and they utilize this app to show that they're video gaming, they're what's going on, if they're interested in mangas, comic books, and they speak to these. And a lot of times when you watch something on YouTube, so if you're watching YouTube and let's say you like to listen to commentary, because a lot of people in the ages of 16 to 26 males watch commentary on YouTube, just like the kids watch like Ryan TV or that other child, I forgot his name, but they watch these things, right? Or Skylander Dad. That's geared, but most of the people use the streaming system of Twitch TV, which is live streaming, which is recorded and then put on YouTube. So I have a TV show, it's called 21 Questions, and it's on Twitch TV. So if you ever catch Twitch TV on Thursdays, that's usually when we post the Twitch TV show, 21 Questions. There was one posted today, and my shows only go between 15 to 20 minutes. Why? Because the age group between 25 and 45 has a 21-minute lifespan on when they start to switch the screen. So I keep all my podcasts, all my segments, all my TV under 25 minutes. I don't want to lose the attention. I don't want to lose your attention. I want you to enjoy what you're hearing. Sometimes I do have some 40-minute ones, but if you're a loyal fan, you'll listen and bear with it, right? And if not to mention, anytime I have sponsors or introduction and endings, that adds time too. But the truth be told, in this day and age, if you are trying to be an entrepreneur like myself, you really want to understand your brand, your product, your audience, the dynamic of those three, right? Or four, those dynamic of those four, how they synthesize with what you're trying to establish, what your platform is, and who do you want to respond or reciprocate, right? So for me, I love feedback. I love all these emails I get. Hey, I like it. Can you do one about this? Can you do one about that? I made a great connection recently, and I'm going to have them on my Twitch TV, and they're going to talk about finances. And I'm also going to do a whole bunch of different ones. Just recently, we did on Twitch TV, October is Breast Cancer Awareness on the 21 Questions episode. And we spoke about self-help and being proactive. There's so many things that I like to touch to help people. So my main goal, of course, is full circle, finding the light at the end of the tunnel, and being proactive and helpful, and being also caring. That's really what I want to get in my goal, and that's the feedback I got. So with the connections one, I want you all to take a look at your connections. You may see that someone that you're professionally geared to is your Facebook friend, right? Or maybe someone on Instagram who follows you or you follow them is on LinkedIn. So sometimes you don't want to collide your worlds, and sometimes you want to keep everything separate. That's fine. Sometimes you're looking to say, well, you know what? I want to know more about this. Not that I want to get into it, but I want to make a connection there. Why not use LinkedIn? And then if you do decide to go on LinkedIn, I would suggest go to the groups, make a group connection, be in the group, see the post. It's different. When you post on the general board of LinkedIn, you get the general posts that people post all day long. But when you're in the group, it is specified to the group's knowledge. So if you're in paralegals, or if you're a nurse, or if you're a lawyer, or if you're a doctor or a teacher, you'll see the group that you're in will be all about that type of commentary, especially if you're into finances or economics. Those groups gear to that. So you get up-to-date knowledge faster than when it comes out in the news, because you're talking to people in your professional level, and it's brainstorming conversation regarding posts that people are posting and the responses. So that becomes more rewarding. And sometimes I see something posted in one of the groups I'm a part of, and as you all know, if you look at my repertoire, I've had so many different experiences in so many different industries that when I'm part of so many different types of groups, that when I look at something on a feed, I'll see it's not even on NPR yet. It's not even in the Harvard Business Review yet, but then next week it is. So it's like it keeps you ahead. And then when you speak with people, you ever have that feeling that you're like, gee, I don't know what they're talking about. Now you're going to see the topics that people are going to be like, yes, that's what I want to know about. And I think making those connections really keep you ahead of the curve. On that note, thank you so much for joining me on this journey of Fannytastic Life Connections. And if you have any questions, please always reach out, fannytasticlife@gmail.com. Take care, and thank you again for listening.